At a red light, someone at my side trying to muddle through. See them wiping their eyes in their rear view, like black hole sun in the sky. Why the fuck won't you come when I need you? Well, this moment in time is as close as we'll be and as far as I'll meet you. Two windows in between us, new moon in the house of Venus. One stranger who sees you and reads your features knows that your alibi might be tight, but it's not quite leak proof. So if you're sitting at the light and you're crying in your car, just know that I see you. And it's a 50-50 that I'm bloodshot, gun shy, once bitten, twice tried, ribs pried wide to the sky till I'm see-through.
That's you, in case you don't recognize yourself.
People, you don't think I see you struggling to breathe, but I do. I see you stumble in your everyday grief like I do. I try, but I do. I'm twice bitten too. My mind's split in two. My knuckles bright white from the 10 to the 2. And the song in my head is the theme for a fugue. A state of decay through the filter of corporate news, where they added the grays and the blues. They whitewash the brown till they drown out the natural hues. And then it's just another fact to refuse, that the corporate ladders for hanging the company noose. Consider it one of your perks, after all it's communal in use. So you can come and hang till your legs go limp and they're shaking you loose. Now you watch 5 co-workers opt for the alternate exit, neatly suspended above where you wolf down your food. And your company gets its incentives embellished by harping on wellness, suggesting you best take time for your mental health after your 14 hours are through. Like we gave you a bottle to piss in and fixed up a noose on the crossbeam. Christ, what more can we do? So if you struggle to breathe any moment that you aren't asleep, then remember, most of Americans fear for their savings, fear for their shelter, fear for their babies. You aren't the fringe of exception, but rather a perfect example of capital's rule. And you're far less alone than the ruling class tells you is true. You're far less alone than the ruling class tells you is true. You don't think I see you crying in your cars, but I do.
Hello, everyone. Welcome.
Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Hello, Abby.
Hi, Michael. How you feeling?
I've been better, been worse, I guess. No need to complain too much.
And if you did, who would listen?
Yeah. How are you?
I got my stuff together today. I got both of my ears, no scratching. I pulled my mic closer. I remembered. So I'm ready to go.
And is my mic too far? Can you hear me fine?
I hear you just fine. Bad Cookies, I'm glad you're here, because if you weren't going to be here, I was going to be so pissed. Because I don't think you like me. Because we had to endure that debate, Michael. Oh my gosh. Mastermind is here. He is in the building to endure it with us. So we don't have to go through it alone, Michael. We don't have to go through it alone.
Yeah. Thanks, Mastermind.
And I didn't dress like I dressed like a rock star today. So I hope that helps. Got my lip on, if I can get ready. There we go. So my impression of libertarians It's like, I don't know. Oh, you want to start with some stuff first, right?
Well, we could go through your impression first. Might as well. I could do kind of give my take on it as well, and then we can kind of jump into it.
Okay.
We also, since we're using Pasta, shout out to Craig Pasta Jardula there for covering the convention.
Yep.
We'll be using his coverage for discussion tonight. So.
Shout out to Craig Pasta.
And I guess his producer, Cheese Slice, had a comment that I wanted to share as far as what is the value of us even paying attention to something like this. And I thought his words are meaningful, so we could share that.
Okay, while you're doing that, I'll tell you my impression of libertarians. Okay, you know how the elite class, they're a level of their own, and they don't really know what's going on down here. I feel like the libertarians are like that too, but it's almost as if their bubble is in a different suburb. It's like if MSNBC and leftists had babies, and they all grew up in their bubble. I'm sorry, not MSNBC, Fox News. Fox News and yes, Fox News and leftists had babies, and they all grew up together in their own private schools in their own suburb, and they just kind of seem like rich white men who aren't like invited to the party, and they're pissed off about it, and they really want to be invited to the party.
Well,
and if they get in the party, they're gonna switch it up.
Yeah. Well,
that's how it felt.
I get some of that impression too, that it seems like the kind of ideology you could have from a place of privilege, but if you try and have it from a really like poor working class kind of perspective, it doesn't really seem to like. It would create cognitive dissonance unless you have the wealth to allow yourself to imagine that it works, kind of thing. Personally, I feel like libertarianism kind of, to me, seems like the economics of social Darwinism. Just the idea that survival of the fittest made into an economic order, and then also anarcho-capitalism and libertarianism seem to me to just be two sides of the same coin. So.
I thought Craig Pasta was a libertarian.
This is where I was wondering, is he becoming a libertarian of some sorts too? But this is where I think...
I thought he was, so, because Bad Pasta's saying he had it worse. He is saying that Pasta has high hopes of libertarians. Oh, okay. So
he's having
this
idea that there's potential there, that maybe that they've got some confused ideas and some right-wing leanings, but there's some salvation that can be made there. I think because he's been a little bit disillusioned with some of the people on the left and his early support of RFK Jr., I feel he's probably taken a lot of pressure and just animosity from people who would be former allies of his, and that kind of makes him in a homeless leftist kind of boat.
Yes, what Mastermind said. Mastermind was telling me on Civilian Discourse how RFK, he's basically like an Elon Musk, where he bought the law firm. It's like stolen valor type of thing. So I was shocked, but I'm not shocked.
Well, RFK,
it makes sense.
I didn't know anything really about him. When I heard him talking about this, the vaccine, the COVID stuff, I was like, okay, that, sounds good. And then when you ask yourself the necessary question, we can see that there's corrupt support of Big Pharma, but maybe there's this corrupt narrative control happening on the anti-vax vaccine camp, where there's justified reasons to be, I would say, anti-vax, but then there's also just kind of con artists' reasons to be in that group to kind of make money off them and stuff. And I feel like if you ask yourself if RFK is really kind of earnest about his concern with his children's health defense, you find a can of worms there. So,
Not earnest at all.
yeah.
You remember that book? No, it was a play. The something of being earnest. The man's name was Ernest, but it was like a play on the word earnest. I had to watch that in grade school. Not that I had to. I really enjoyed that play. The Importance of Being Earnest. I think that's what it's called. You ever heard of that?
No. It sounds
Oh,
interesting.
Mastermind's giving me he's heard of it. It was really good, right? Oh, well, should we just bring Mastermind on now?
You can, yeah, bring him on. Do you want to come on and say hi?
Come on in here, Mastermind.
Unmute yourself.
Let me unmute you.
Hello, hello, hello.
Hello.
Welcome.
Was it a play or a book, Mastermind? I can't remember. I think it was a play.
Possibly, but well, probably both. That's usually how that works.
Might be
Yeah,
a movie.
that's true. It starts off as a book and then they make a play out of it. That's
And
true.
Then 3 shitty sequels to movies.
I run a franchise into the ground, just so you know.
Fast and Furious. What number are they on?
I think
God help us, save us from Disney.
Well, if you let Cat Williams tell it, it's going to be 20 in the end.
I think they just came out with some new Star Wars movie. I haven't really been paying attention to what's coming out these days.
Hmm.
Yeah, I gave up after I did watch The Mandalorian, but because I liked the guy that was in, he was like Last of Us or whatever. He's a good actor. I like the guy that played Mandalorian.
Yeah, but they just hijack these stories. They start out okay, the first maybe like the original, and then it gets sold to somebody, and then propagandized. So.
You know, what we're doing, Bad Cookies, is we're trying to prolong this conversation as long as possible
Yeah, we should.
before the torture begins.
It's like the screen though. We're trying to say you got to somewhere to be. Hard stop.
Yeah. I have to make a hard stop at 7:30 because the NBA playoffs are coming on, and Taz Mitt is in the building. Taz, if you want to come get my phone so you can make comments, you're welcome to come get it. She's not just a principal; she's also a women's basketball coach. She went to school on a full scholarship playing basketball. So yeah, she's gonna make me watch the game. I actually just really want to watch Kyrie Irving and Jaylen Brown because I kind of like, I don't know their politics, but I like what they have to say. Like Kyrie Irving, I don't know if you guys are into sports. He's the one that they tried to cancel because he said some stuff about. I don't think he really said anything about Jews, but he was talking about the original Israelites or something. He was talking about a movie. He just told people to watch a movie that's on Netflix.
Oh,
and
yeah.
they called
I
him an
remember
anti-Semite and
Netflix
tried to make him apologize, didn't let him play in the games, all kind of stuff. And I'm like, hey, but is anything gonna happen to Netflix? Because that's where the damn movie is. So why?
Netflix has a lot worse shit on there than that.
Stopped watching that a while ago.
And then Jaylen Brown, I like him because he's like brilliant. He went to MIT, turned down the NBA at first or something. I can't remember his full story. Here you go. I don't know. I'm sorry, Tom Smith just walked in. You have to log in as yourself. So anyway, Jaylen Brown went to MIT. He like taught at MIT, I think. I might be getting his story kind of wrong, but he's really smart. Taught robotics class. all kind of stuff before he even started the NBA. And I think he still teaches schools sometimes or something. So I'm really excited to see what he's going to do with his money. I think he's
Yeah,
going to do some kind of give back for education or something. And so whoever wins, I'm cool with it. I just want to, because they're on opposite sides of the team.
yeah. My
Ah,
knowledge
your knowledge of that is, look,
basketball. Yeah, I wrestled in high school, so it was kind of like a competitive thing because both sports were on during at the same time. So from very early on, growing up in the Midwest, I was way more invested into wrestling, into basketball. So I just went on football was I played football, so I watch NFL, even though that's just more bread and circuses. Except in Rome, at least the bread and circuses were free. We got to pay half our salary for our bread.
I just don't understand people who've been watching football for like 50 years and they're still like, oh yeah, another game. It's not boring at all. It's like the same plays that you kind of watch day after day. But
it's an
somehow,
adrenaline. It's the adrenaline of when something happens.
yeah. There's an
Well,
element of unpredictability with every game, I guess.
well, and then
I
when
mean,
your
nowadays,
team wins, you won. You did something. You accomplished something. You watched five guys dribble a ball and win a game, and so somehow you won. And I guess for some people, that's all they get.
well, they did a study about that, about how people like associate their their team winning with like them winning, and how men know if their team wins, they're a little more brazen in the bar to talk to women, or like they're
Gives them
happy.
a boost.
I have a friend who said her her husband loves the Cowboys, and she says when they lose, he's like he's sad. He's in the bed, and I'm like, well, he must be sad a lot because the Cowboys are now.
You beat me to that joke.
Boom, boom.
It makes more sense to me. I wonder how many people who watch are gamblers too, because if you got money to lose on the game, I understand why you're
Oh,
so.
oh, absolutely. Well, and my wife likes to bring up the fact that Super Bowl Sunday is domestic violence holiday of the year.
I was about to say that when their team loses, that women in domestic violence situations are more likely to get abused that evening. Yes,
Is that true? That's
very
when you're
sad but
taking.
true.
That's when you're taking your football just a little too fucking seriously.
A
That's
lot too
just
serious,
yeah.
especially when these days it's it's so much about money that they already. It's almost like the presidential election. They already know who's going to win in some situations because
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. If you don't think they're shaving points in the NFL, then go ahead and vote Republican or Democrat. Like it'll make a difference because you might as well buy the whole fucking thing.
well, they have that technology now where the gloves that they wear help them hold the ball. Like it has a magnet to help them hold the ball, and then also in basketball they have this thing. It's like a I guess it's also kind of like a magnet, but in a different way, where they throw the ball and it's always going to make it like
Is
they
it
can
in
turn it on and off.
self-guided?
Yeah, it's like
Self-guided basketballs,
and
right?
you could turn it on and off or something like that. I don't know the details, but
People think
but
I guess
they
if you
definitely
put
have that now.
yeah, if you had like steel dust that were, like a steel belted tire, if you had steel belted basketball hoops, all you'd need is a heavy magnet in that back of that rim every time. They just have to turn it off quick enough so the ball doesn't stick there and bounce back and forth.
And Tosh, you missed the whole sports part of our segment, and we're about to move on. So sorry. So
Cookies
now
makes
we're
a good
just
point.
missing the other part of Shmasha.
Cookies makes a good point to repel it too. Just have the magnet flip so you don't want that ball going in. All of a sudden, it takes a funky bounce.
Yep, yep. And it probably has a lot to do with that Fantastic Four gambling thing as well. What is it called? Fantasy,
Yeah,
fantasy,
fantasy,
whatever,
FanDuel,
all that stuff. So they're like, they're like, wait a minute, we need some of this money.
yeah. Yeah, like I said, at least in Rome, the circuses were free.
Hmm.
So should we cover something here?
Yep.
Do you want to go to?
You could go ahead and pull it up. While you're pulling up, I'm just going to say another thing about gambling, how it's a scam in those major places. There's a lot of casinos now where somebody makes a big win and then they go to get their earnings and they're told that the machine malfunctioned.
Computer glitch.
Isn't that something? Yeah, I was just telling them that, Tosh, Mint, because we have those two of our people that were watching. You can't. I say I really like them, but I don't know them. I just know what I know about them in public, and it seems, genuine so far. But you never know. Hi, Dr. Nick.
There's Jamie right there.
So we didn't really have time for me to figure out how to, like, I have to share on Firefox my screen and it just shares it automatically. So if you want to just let me know when you guys.
We can see it.
All right, cool. So we're good to go.
Yeah, Cookies, that's cheese slice.
Pasta was in the room watching.
Can you make it big?
I would introduce him, but I think he actually introduces himself in the video. So here we go.
So I'm Cheese Slice, in case you didn't know who I was. But we're still here. We're going to be here all weekend covering this convention. And in case you're wondering why we're here, it's because we look at this convention as probably the most significant of all of the political conventions that are going to be happening for this presidential cycle. Give me 1 second. I got to close it. Right. That is much better for me. Now I can think straight. So if you're wondering why we're here, it's because we want to cover the politics of it. And this is a very important
Oh.
We're gonna try.
Is that you or them?
It's just buffering. Here we go.
to cover
Okay.
politics. This is a very important convention from the standpoint that these people here are going to be talking about real issues the entire time, because they have a lot of different coalitions within the Libertarian Party, and they don't get along. It's kind of like how the left is very fractured, and we don't get along and don't want to work with each other. The difference is the Libertarians with these different factions, they are all committed to working with each other, and that is a huge difference between this party and what the Greens or any of the leftists want to do. Like when we have issues with each other on the left, we're just like, screw you, you're just a Nazi, and we don't want to work with you. And that's crazy. We all agree, if we're on the left, that the problem with Republicans and Democrats, we got to get rid of those people. But we're never going to get rid of them if we don't work together. So the reason why we're here is we want to see how that works. And a lot of these people aren't that far away from the positions that a lot of leftists have. I mean, we do have some differences, but there is a ton of overlap with a lot of libertarians and just flat out leftists, especially if you're anti-authoritarian left. I mean, I'm not talking about the authoritarian leftists that tend to gravitate towards the Democratic Party, the authoritarian leftists who love cancel culture. So anyway, this has been a very interesting experience in seeing what's going on here, and I hope that if you're watching these streams, you're taking some of that in. Pasta did get to interview.
So I think that's basically just what I wanted you guys to hear. What do you guys think?
Yeah, that's what I think. They got a good look into how the sausage is made at the Libertarian Party. I haven't really had a chance to hear what Jimmy had to say after that, but man, he was talking about having the whole group of libertarians come together to get rid of the Republicans and Democrats, but I think he's starting to see how hurting libertarians is like hurting cats. It's libertarians are the opposite of anarchists, but they're also two sides of the same coin, I think, sometimes. It's like the libertarians are Republicans that want to do drugs and have abortions. That's the way I've been.
I have to take notes for this for this stream first. Okay, so most important convention. I disagree. I think that third party convention was more important than this one for sure. He says that at least they'll work together. Well, Republicans and Democrats do work together. It's just they work together for what exactly? So, and then he says they have a ton of overlap with leftists. Okay, but they also have a ton of like, there is no way in hell that a leftist is going to go for that. So
like they might let leftists in who have like some ideals, like kind of hanging on from their leftist past, but they're kind of maybe hoping to steer them. And when they say that there's a lot that really share the leftist values, I also see that there's a lot of libertarians that share some of these really right-wing thought processes too.
Very right-wing, yes. So Michael, we kind of got confused because you started with the vice presidential convention and I started with the
Day 3.
I'm sorry. You started with the vice presidential debate, and that's day 1, right? I started at day 3 with the presidential debate.
Yeah, I didn't really bring any clips from the vice presidential debate. I did.
Yeah.
I didn't make clips either because I was just watching. These are my takeaways. Like, do we have to watch it?
It was not the most professional production that I've ever seen, and I guess maybe that's kind of the allure, maybe because they're super grassroots. So, but yeah, it was not a.
I was getting the impression that they were trying to build the plane while flying it. You know.
Yeah.
Let me see. Well, I'll give them credit. They got Trump to show up. So because
just watching
RFK, right? And because they were there, they got eyes from like C-SPAN. There's like 100 times more people that actually watched, even realized that there was a libertarian convention. Nobody didn't even know if Trump wasn't there. So that I think is a feather in their hat.
I think the main reason why they had Trump and RFK, all these outside guys, is just a fundraising kind of gimmick. You know, they did not just press, but they probably made a lot of money just by having people went there to see him and paid to go there that wouldn't have gone otherwise.
Oh, absolutely. Oh yeah.
Hi, Dr. Nick.
At the same time, they pissed off whatever certain base that was like, what the hell are you doing bringing these people who aren't libertarians in to speak and take up all the oxygen in the room? So I kind of sympathize.
Right.
You know,
oh,
I'm sorry. Look, Bad Cookies has this dark humor. So I'm just going to play it. Everybody's going to have to suffer. How about that?
No one said learning is pain-free.
And that's the thing. If you didn't catch a lot, I think it was day 2, Pasta, he was going around doing up and down the lines going, hey, you want to talk to me? I'm a leftist and I'm feeling kind of homeless. Is there any room for me in the Libertarian Party? And you could see the people that were being diplomatic, and then the people that were just being, probably not, dude. Come on, really? We're libertarians. There's a limit to the shit they'll take, and there's definitely a limit to the shit that the leftists will put up with. So I don't see how that's going to be a marriage made in heaven. I don't see it.
They were saying that at least they felt as press covering the event that they were more welcome and open to asking questions. People were more open to having questions asked to them than, of course, when you compare with the Democratic or Republican conventions. If you go there, you get this one-party line kind of, you're not allowed to dissent kind of mentality. But when you're comparing it to that, then it's easy to make them sound good.
So Todd Smith says, if you're comfortable in your position, why are you closed to speaking with different opinions? Because some people just get on your damn nerves.
Right? Yeah.
Like some people, it's just like, I mean, like I was telling Todd Smith the other day, somebody I know thought they knew it all about the whole Israel thing because they went to Israel once. So now they got all the answers and don't know.
Now they could give their expert opinion.
Right. And I read. Okay, what are you reading? Washington Post? Time.
I've been to Canada. That doesn't make me a hockey player.
Yeah. I've been to Mexico. That doesn't make me an expert on Mexican politics. Speaking of which.
Yeah, right.
Well,
if she's been to Israel, maybe that makes her an expert on Mexican politics now.
Well, I mean, she has dual citizenship.
And
so, so all of these people with dual citizenship that are infiltrating our governments, that's a problem. I don't think that should. I don't think that. I mean, if you have dual citizenship, I don't think you should be allowed to be in government.
Absolutely
period.
not. That's treason. That's treason. That's like the literal description when you have loyalty to a different state. I mean, if you want, as an American, if you want to have dual citizenship, some countries allow it. That's whatever, but that should exclude you from military service, police, public service, any sort of holding public office. Absolutely not. Those are jobs for Americans in America.
I think that's a good perspective. I agree with that.
That's a good inside joke. Yeah, you should definitely not. You should enjoy yourself, go from one place to the other, but you cannot be involved in politics.
But you got in Georgia right now. They got a president just got elected as like a French citizen. So now the president of Georgia is a French puppet, like bordering Russia, Georgia.
Oh, Georgia, the country. Georgia. I thought you were talking about Georgia, the state.
Oh, that's next.
And I was like, what?
No, that's a story we'll maybe have to cover another. It's kind of a little too late, but yeah, like because they kind of want to do with Georgia the same stuff they want to do with Ukraine and Finland or whatever. It's just a little pawn on the chessboard. So trying to install a puppet leader that's friendly to France right on the doorstep of Russia, with France sending NATO troops into Ukraine. It's a lovely situation we got going on right now.
I mean, well, and Ukraine is like, we're supplying them with weapons to attack Russian territory. That's not going to end well.
Well, and they're doing it because nobody's looking at Ukraine anymore. Since Palestine happened, now it's like, Ukraine? What? Poor Vlad. He's not even a president anymore. Now he's a dictator. They pushed off their election, so now he's an unelected dictator at this point.
Well, the one
who?
Zelensky?
Yeah.
They skipped their election.
Oh, yes. Okay.
His term was up a month ago, I think.
They didn't even have elections. Yeah, they didn't have elections, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, he's a
I
dictator
just
now.
wanna.
The news
That's
from Russia
crazy.
I feel needs to be shared is there 2 of their 10 their early warning defense systems for the nuclear weapons have been destroyed. So 20% of their early warning defense, if NATO and the U.S. nuked Russia, has been sabotaged and destroyed somehow by the Ukrainians. So if they destroy more of that, that's news we all kind of need to be worried about. So,
Hmm. I just wanted to say that's South Carolina, not Georgia. Bad cookies. That's South Carolina. He has that place on lock, and he worked with the Republicans to gerrymander his district, so he stayed in power. That's a story nobody talks about. Should we start this?
you want to
Should
share
we
another
start
video?
making everybody suffer?
Yeah. What do you want? I could maybe start with. I was going to share some of Vivek's commentary. They had Vivek Ramaswamy as well as a guest, and I
Oh
saw.
yeah. Please talk about that. That douchebag.
Sean says Marxist libertarian, mega communism, jokes, right? So the funny thing about what Vivek has to say is what we're talking about is they may have some people leaning a little bit to the left, but when they're entertaining what, like well, I'll kind of let him speak for himself. Let me just, should have had it kind of called up here already. But he's basically insinuating that the Democrats are Marxist. And so and we got to be very
We
wary of
wish.
letting that fox in the henhouse, right, guys?
Don't
So he's
tease
got
me
this
with a good time.
anti-communist bullshit that he's spewing to this crowd that you're supposed to be as a Marxist, feeling like you can make inroads into. So, you guys ready?
Mm-hmm.
All right, here we go.
Vivid Rotten Salami, my favorite.
The reasons for that, Rob, is the conventional wisdom is the current Democratic Party is a socialist party. I don't think so. I think it's increasingly leaning in a Marxist direction. Teaching people that your identity is based on your race, your gender, your sexuality, the attributes you inherit on the day you're born, riding the tectonic plates of group identity, and an invisible power relationship with every other human being, and that we have to correct for those power relationships in the name of equity. A party that in the name of diversity has sacrificed now true diversity of thought. A party that in the name of equity has sacrificed true equality of opportunity. A party that in the name of inclusion has created a culture of exclusion, where certain points of view just aren't welcome. Now weaponizing the justice system to go after their own political opponents. No, that's not in any sense a democratic party that stands for democratic principles. It is increasingly a tyrannical vehicle for advancing Marxist policies in the United States of America. So yes, I am skeptical of the Democratic Party. But I will also tell you, I'll take that.
So that's his criticism of the Democratic Party. I can show you he's got comments about the Republican Party too. But,
Okay, can we talk about that first?
Yeah, let's stop and comment about what he just said first, or is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Because he's talking about group identity, like both parties aren't a cult in and of itself. So I don't understand what he's saying. I'm looking at my notes. I don't understand what he's saying about that. That it's the party of exclusion, as if the Republicans don't do the same thing. It's like he could have just changed, instead of saying Marxism, he could have chose a different word and put in Republicans and said the same speech. So instead of Marxism, what would we say about Republicans? Because they're definitely not Marxists. Capitalist.
Fascist.
You could say fascist for both.
Yeah.
So that's why I didn't say fascism,
This
because
is
that could
also
be
how
Democrats too.
Marxists also get lumped in with fascists all the time. For anybody who's uneducated about it, as long as you don't actually know the proper positions and the actual history, you can just kind of decide whatever you want.
That's true. Anyone not being straight up about party corruption is full of it. Any other comments about what he said about the Democrats before we move on to the
Well, I'm just
Republicans?
saying he's conflating, like calling neoliberalism Marxism. I don't understand how people can confuse that. It's like quite the opposite.
He said the term neoliberalism.
The Democrats, to me, are more neoliberal than, and I'd say the Republicans are more neoconservative. But like the foreign policy of the Democrats is very neoconservative too. But it's to me, they're like the stronghold of neoliberalism. So when people go around saying that that is Marxism, I feel like you're confusing black with white and red with blue. Like,
They're not confused. They are highly educated. They are trying to confuse the American people. So anytime you say something that's not what they want to hear, people start screaming fascism. They don't know what that means. Communists, Marxists, socialists, they don't know what any of those four things mean, and they're not looking them up.
and then
So
there's conflicting definitions sometimes, and then people don't want to. You can't really just necessarily trust Webster's dictionary definitions of these things. So, but you have to, like, there's like Lenin's definition of imperialism, and then there's the anti-communist definition. So it's not so simple as just to look it up kind of thing. People say all you got to do is read literally any book. I understand what you're trying to say with that, but fuck you. That's kind of just intellectual abuse. Okay.
Well, and
well,
in a capitalist system, you have two types of people. You have capitalists and you have workers trapped in a capitalist system. If you work for a living, you are not a capitalist. You are not making money off of the backs of other people. That's what a capitalist is. So if it isn't the private ownership of public resources for personal gain, then anything else is socialist or communist. Well, I'm good with that if that means that the 1% doesn't own 90% of the resources. I'm cool with that.
Well, it's pretty
Well,
simple. Democratize the workplace. That's the socialist. Sorry to cut you off. Go ahead, Abby.
No, you're fine. We just both started talking at the same time. It happens. It's a podcast. I just wanted to push back a little bit about what you said about that's intellectual abuse. Because is it really? I mean, okay.
I mean, specifically when you say read any book, because it's like,
oh, any book, okay.
Any book, it's not really gonna work, but like it's being facetious or whatever. But yeah.
Oh, okay. I see. They're being condescending when they say that.
Learn to code.
Oh, okay. Well, I've said that sometimes.
But in general, though, when you think typically you say that to somebody who is trying to talk on a subject that they have already decided not to really properly educate themselves on before they act like they're an expert on that subject. So then there's a reason why you're like, you wouldn't be condescending to them if they weren't already being kind of belligerent or whatever, ignorant,
yeah. That takes us back to what Todd Smith said about, like, if you know what you're talking about, why not talk to anybody? Because some people are just idiots, and it gets so frustrating. You can't save everybody.
Yeah.
So, like, pick and choose for your mental health who you're going to try to bring closer to your opinions, is what I think I say.
As far as the word idiot, I learned not so long ago, it basically means originally like private individual. So it's kind of ironic because the more you keep yourself private, the less you share information with people, the less you can learn because you're just staying alone all the time. So it's kind of interesting how over time a private individual becomes stupid.
A useful idiot. Yeah.
So if you, yeah.
Speaking of useful idiots, Earl of Laura says, I gotta read it just in case people are not watching. They're like in their kitchen cooking. Okay. Okay. I gotta stop laughing. I knew a guy on disability who hated Obama because he raised taxes on the wealthy, all because he planned on being a millionaire professional golfer.
What kind of disability is that? Physical or mental?
But here's the thing, but they condition people to think that way. They're like, oh, the next billionaire, yay, be happy about it. Everybody celebrate.
That's why I buy my
Such and
lottery.
such became a billionaire. Yeah.
Yeah, I wish Andy Warhol would have said in the future everybody will be a billionaire for 15 minutes. You know, I'd like at least to get my 15 minutes in.
You want to do the Republican one? Did Bree get fired? What?
Yeah, I don't know. Breaking news, according to Robbie Burns.
Okay. Hi, Robbie, by the way.
No way.
Tell us more about that.
Yeah.
So while he's doing that, you want to play the Republican one, and we'll come back to that. How
Yeah.
get fired from what? From with Robbie.
Hill the Rising. Yeah.
Yeah, the Rising.
All right, bear with me just one moment.
Robbie Burns has some breaking news.
She was too good for him anyway.
Well, it depends on who you talk to.
No, I don't get me wrong. I could see where Bree's weak spots, but in all, sorry, I got noise in the
I
background.
can't see you guys right now, so just you go ahead and finish your comment, and then I'll hit play after. Are you done? All right, here we go.
Democratic Party. And truth is treason today, but we're going to speak the truth and commit treason of truth right here in Washington, D.C. I have also been a long-time skeptic of the establishment wing of the Republican Party. Think about the party that led us into war in Iraq in 2004. It wasn't really the Democrats. It was the Republicans in the wake of 9/11. I was against it at the time, as I am today. Look at the party. Not only give us the crony capitalist conditions for the 2008 financial crisis. People miss this. This was not greed that caused the 2008 financial crisis. This was government-ordained policy that created the financial crisis, from the actions of the U.S. Federal Reserve to raining money from on high like manna from heaven. That's what gave us the 08 financial crisis. And by the way, I'll tell you my own story here. My parents came to this country 40 years ago with no money. You know what? When I graduated from college, I didn't make any bones or apologize for it. I did not focus on anything else other than winning through the system of free market capitalism. So I joined a hedge fund.
Turn it up.
08. Bad year to get a job in New York City, turns out.
Can you turn up the volume, Michael?
Even worse than the lead up to this was actually the bailouts, using our own taxpayer money to bail out financial institutions that made well for themselves when times were good, but expected the taxpayer to bail them out when the
I don't think I can make it louder.
Yeah, who did it? It wasn't the Democratic Party. It was the same party that led us into the Iraq War. It was the same party that had actually supported many of the policies that gave us that crisis, including the U.S. Federal Reserve policy in the first place, that then bailed out those same.
Wait.
Of a long-standing.
I'm sorry.
Sorry, it's a little glitchy. Trying to pause it. I think that was probably the moment I was where I would want to pause it anyway. That was just the end of the clip there. So.
I mean, there was so much misinformation in that, and it was hard to hear.
Yeah, you have to go over it a few times to like pause it and analyze it.
Yeah, because he's just talking out the side of his neck. Like what? It's revisionist history.
Well, yeah, he's playing to the crowd. He doesn't care about. He just wants to score points. He's not trying to inform anybody, or he's
I don't know if y'all care to. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, that's it.
I don't know if y'all care to replay it and pause it and talk about it, or if we should just move on. I don't know.
I don't know if it was glitchy for you guys, but it wasn't playing very solid, like smoothly for me. So.
Yeah, it was
Try
hit
that
and
again.
miss.
He's talking about crony capitalism, and then in the next sentence, he's talking about how I'm gonna succeed through the free market enterprise of my hardworking stick-to-itiveness, or it's just ridiculous. It's like completely uncritical to the idea, like the whole Marxist critique that that all capitalism is crony capitalism. There's no, it's inherent in the system in and of itself. It's not just bad actors that make it that way. Marx isn't criticizing individuals when he did his analysis. He's saying that capitalism in and of itself, where it like incentivizes and forces people to kind of act this way, it feels so logical for them, like to benefit themselves. So then they do that, and then, you know, I don't know. I'll play it again here. We'll see if it goes better.
Good. Because it's important. We're going to call out everybody here. What was the old Ron Paul quote? Truth is treason in their empire of lies.
He's going to speak the truth, right?
That's
Yeah.
the modern Democratic Party.
But that's where he uses the Marxist language, right? The empire of lies is the empire of America that we cannot make great again, ever again, which is why it's a stupid idea to try. But then he wants to go and use our words and act like he's about to speak the treasonous truth out here, but he wouldn't be permitted to do that if he was actually speaking out against the empire, as you see with the Palestinian student protesters and all these other protesters. Okay, alright, I gotta clean my computer. It's a little too dusty and dirty. I'll hit play here.
And truth is treason today, but we're going to speak the truth and give a treason of truth right here in Washington, D.C. I have also been a long-time skeptic of the establishment wing of the Republican Party. Think about the party that led us
No, he hasn't.
to war in Iraq in 2004. It wasn't really the Democrats.
Oh.
It was the Republicans in the wake of 9/11. I was against it at the time, as I am today. Look at the party that not only give us the crony capitalist conditions for the 2008 financial crisis. People miss this. This was not greed that caused the 2008 financial crisis. This was government-ordained policy.
Okay, so
He's not blaming his rich asshole friends. He's going to blame the government.
Can't be both,
So-
where they can't work together to create this situation where the revolving door of the government and the capitalists.
Yeah, so I misheard him for the Iraq thing. Okay, so I digress on that one. But what he's about to blame the government for the 2008 crisis,
Yeah.
and not the government and the oligarchs working together. I'm surprised he didn't blame the working.
Well, he's
man.
trying to pretend they're two different things.
This is an example of what I'm kind of hammering on this idea now that I come across it. It's what you call analytical philosophy instead of continental philosophy. So Marxism and critical theory kind of comes from underneath this umbrella of continental theory, which is a little bit more like there's no such thing as an island, that all kind of ideas are interrelated and interconnected. And analytical philosophy is more, in order to understand something, you have to separate things and get to the root ultimate explanation. So he's trying to say it's not really like what other people would say, that it's the rich people. The actual ultimate explanation that analytical philosophy gives me is that it's the government's fault. It's just like a scapegoating tactic. But maybe that's my analysis.
Everybody blames somebody else.
Yeah. If you want to learn more about those philosophies, you have to look into it yourself and develop your own take on it. Well, there's a little bit.
Oh,
more.
is that? Yeah, there's a little bit more. Okay.
Yeah, he was talking about his parents. Is partly all I wanted this clip for too.
Yes,
He
because
said he's come. His parents came here with no money, and he's like a rags to riches story. That's a bald.
Which is all complete bullshit. The only way he made his money is because he got some funky drug that wasn't going anywhere, and he got his mom to boost it up on some off-label shit, and he sold it. It's a bump and dump thing.
Michael did what Michael does best. Michael goes down the rabbit hole, and Michael has a a bomb to drop. So
Well, yeah, I'll just get to that right after here. I'll just let him finish saying his piece. So.
Financial crisis, from the actions of the U.S. Federal Reserve to raining money from on high like manna from heaven. That's what gave us the 08 financial crisis. And let me tell you my own story here. My parents came to this country 40 years ago with no money. You know what? When I graduated from college, I didn't make any moans or apologize for it. I did not focus on anything else other than winning it through the system of free market capitalism. So I joined a hedge fund in 08.
So right there, he's saying, you know what? I grew up poor, and I didn't have a chip on my because of it, right? I dusted myself off, and I made myself rich, and now here I am, a big successful man that you should vote for. Like,
yes. So Mastermind has the part of the story after the part that you're about to drop.
Such a con man.
Oh, I think maybe I left the tab over on my other browser. Let me go quickly search for it. Just a Wikipedia page. Well, actually, in a Sun article. I'm going to need both of them, I guess. But I got to switch everything back over to start using Firefox again as my main browser.
This is our this is what we had to do just for the people in the chat, because we still kind of have access to RBN Long Beach, Inland Empire, and we kind of don't want to lose our access just in case.
All right, so can you see this here?
I took you off, sorry. Let me change it. All right, yep.
All right, let me just make it a bit bigger. Okay. Who are Vivek Ramaswamy's parents? Always a good question, worth asking. A little bit creepy if it's just some random person, but if it's a professional politician, public figure, it's not really an invasive question. So, Vivek was born to Hindu Tamil immigrant parents. His father, Ganapathy Ramaswamy, is a graduate of the National Institute of Technology, Calicut, and worked as an engineer and patent attorney for General Electric. Doesn't sound very poor to me. His mother, Geeta Ramaswamy, was a graduate of the Mysore Medical College and Research Institute and worked as a geriatric psychiatrist. His parents immigrated from Palakkad district in Kerala, India. Vivek's family had an ancestral home in a traditional agraharam in the town of Vadakancheri. So then there's this other stuff. That's basically, this is my little bombshell here. What is this? What is an agraharam? And you go and you just look it up. The Wikipedia page says, an agraharam was a grant of land and royal income from it, typically by a king or a noble family in India, for religious purposes, particularly Brahmins, to maintain temples in that land or a pilgrimage site and to sustain their families. So why is it that Vivek Ramaswamy was able to emigrate to America in the first place? It might have a little something to do with being a Brahmin, the highest member of the caste system of India that they don't want to talk about because it's extremely ridiculous and should be abolished. So
yeah, they have racism amongst other Indians. It's incredible that there's so many of them that they can't hate people that don't look like them. They have to hate themselves. Just whoever's had worse parents.
Pretty much the dark skinned ones.
There's
it's a lot of colorism in India as well.
Yeah, all over the world, but some places seems like they take it a little more seriously than others. Anyway, what was I think that was what I got to share. We could share a little bit of their squabbling stuff at the beginning because I found it interesting. Just kind of like insider baseball stuff about when they're talking about how they seem a little bit more, the libertarians a little more unified than the leftists, at least, in that they're willing to work together in a party. When you watch them at the very beginning of this, they had some debates, disagreements over some basic procedural Like they kept having to suspend the rules in order to amend the bylaws, and it's just kind of a little bit comedic
That
to
kind of
watch.
sound. Oh, okay.
But
Does
it's
it sound, that
also
sounds boring.
it's a lot and it's boring, and it's only interesting, only funny for like political junkies maybe. So
Uh,
as far as if
if you
someone
want,
wanted to try and build a party, that's the kind of stuff to watch and to try not to mimic or whatever, imitate.
Vivek is Curry Zion. That's funny. So I just took him off since he's gone for a second. Um, we could do that, or we could go into the presidential debate.
Oh, actually, I also had an interview from one of these like a black leftist libertarian.
Oh, well, that sounds interesting.
Yeah, it's I think 4-5 minutes maybe. You could do that.
Okay, let's do that.
All right. Let me just share my
Just gonna
screen.
Yeah, so Rondo, they all come up with that story, like Joe Biden. I grew up in Scranton, and like that rags to riches story, that story that they try to tell you that if you just pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Oh, we lost Mastermind.
Oh, maybe you'll be able to
Jump back in.
send him another invite, or see if he lets you know if he can get back in.
Ty Smith has my phone, so
Well, maybe I'll hit play in the meantime, and we'll see if we can.
yeah, and then if you can message him. But go ahead and hit play.
I need to get his phone number. I can't message him. Well, I can message him on Twitter or whatever. But yeah.
Oh, I could do that right now. I'm so crazy. Go ahead, hit play.
I just want to test it 1, 2, 3. You can see Maj is this. Good. Okay. Yeah, that's it. All right, ready?
Shout out to Craig Pasta.
Craig Pasta Jardula. I'm here with Dr. Barr. I'm sitting down with Maj Toure. Maj, when I do your shows, a lot of people were like, they weren't used that dude. They were like, who is that dude? And you know how I answered that question? I said, if I had to answer that question, take that a little bit. Maj Toure is like this new modern day libertarian. He's bringing a whole new dimension.
Can you turn it up?
There's a lot of
No, sorry. You guys are just gonna have to turn it up on your TVs.
And it is this kind of mindset of liberty. You run Black Guns Matter. Yeah. Why don't you tell me, if I was on point, describing Maj Toure, right? Who Maj Toure is?
Yeah, that's 100% correct. I'll add on that there are people that are hesitant and resisting to that new group. A lot of times in movements, people hide their bigotry and their bias behind patriotism, and they like being the popular kid in the room. So there's a few of those goofballs around, but by and large, that's 100% correct. We need to make sure that, we saw yesterday, the Bronx, Trump, that thing over there is insane. These are blue cities that generally they've been told, a lot of Republicans will say, get out of the blue cities, get out of New York, it's a waste of time. Yeah. Then you got 10, 20, 30,000 people showing up for the Trump rally in New York, which is a blue city. Yeah. And it's like AOC's district or something like that, right? So saying this to say, ignoring the urban demographics, stupid. The people that get really rich in urban demographics, whether that's restaurants, whether that's bars, whether that's, whatever, there's money there. And there's political money there as well. So to be hesitant to that change is kind of like you're not thinking about the bigger picture. And so, but generally, by and large, a lot of people, the smarter and wiser people than you can actually see it. They see it and they're like, yo, we can't reach that demographic, but we got a guy that can reach that demographic that's introducing us to the.
Okay, so let's stay on that too as well. It's not that I want to talk about shop, but the same people that are pissed off at you are pissed off at me, right? Because I come from the left. I consider myself a leftist libertarian, and I do have social views. Socialist views. My friends are Marxists. We're all about labor movements, but not part of that cultural Marxism, which wasn't even invented by Marxists. But when you use terms like bigotry, I think it's kind of triggers a lot of these old school libertarians. You think it's more about them losing their grip of power and
getting jealous about somebody coming in? Or do you think it's just something new for them having to deal with sort of cultural people coming in? I mean, Black Guns Matter to them. I feel like, oh, wait a second, why should they use like the Black Lives Matter? Why should they use Black Guns Matter? Shouldn't all guns for everybody, for every United States citizen?
But that's the funny thing. The statements are never exclusionary. The statements are just, hey, we kind of forgot about this group of people. Can we highlight this? So when we talk about Black Lives Matter, we were saying, hey, this area was targeted with gun control primarily and dominant. This was started to stop so-called people of color from having the means to defend themselves. That's what happened. So if this is the area where we're light, we need to highlight energy about the information in this community to bring them on board. The people that are upset about that, it's not that they don't have power. That's number one. Because they can't stop you or someone like myself or yourself from doing whatever we want to do. So that's not a sign of very much power. They can get on social media and say stuff, and that's great. My 8-year-old, that's not a big deal, right? But to say things on the internet, stand on that principle, move forward with it, and continue to do the work that's necessary. Now we're talking about holistic approaches. I think that people dismiss terms, ideas, and concepts before they have a chance to actually flesh them out and think about it. That's the power of media. Media has told you a word. They've told on the left or the right. They've said that this word is bad. It's not in alignment with your thing, but you haven't thought about it. So if we have somebody like Mark Cuban tweeting out or posting out saying, I'm about to write a check for $240 million for taxes, and I'm proud to pay for that. Well, Mark, get a better accountant, number one. Number two, this conversation about being proud to pay, you're not actually being proud to pay because it's not a voluntary choice. If you do not pay this, and if it doesn't fall within these parameters, they send people with guns to arrest you and potentially shoot you. So when you explain that concept to someone in a robust manner, they are more in alignment with, hey, Mark, the government is forcing you to give them $250 million by force or threat. That's what's happening. So people don't flesh these concepts out. Or when I say bigotry, because everybody's afraid of the racist word.
You said first people of color. Like, I'm saying he's a black man. I'm not even using that because I come from the Democratic Convention. I'm like, what the person of color? Like, that's a black man. That's a brown man. I'm a white man.
That's it.
Yeah.
And so when those people are introduced to those terms without fleshing them out, they start to get triggered because that's their program. If I say to you, you get to be a socialist, you get to be a communist, you get to be on a commune, in a community. You struggle around the word communism because I understand that there should be I don't want anybody taken, I don't want the state to own the means of production, right? And free market enterprise. But when I then say, hey, if you want to practice that, and you guys own 10 acres and y'all do that in that space, that's still America. They are at liberty to do that. Flesh these conversations out, and a lot of times, very rarely, it happens. But more rarely do you see a conversation where it's, we want to impose our thing onto you. More so than that, it's, we just want to do this thing over here. That's a libertarian. When I want to go hang out with some of my communist friends, and I go, hey, what do you mean? What does that mean? You guys got a commune? Y'all work together and grow food? Oh, that's great. Cool, I'm going to come over there and learn something. And that's your thing, and I don't necessarily subscribe to it fully, but I can understand that part, and that part, and I'm not creating division. That is libertarianism.
And you've got a lot of work to do. And we have the same type of language, right? Because the same people who are mad at you or mad at me would say, oh, socialists want to kill us. I'm like, that's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my life. There's just certain things that we have. Like, I believe that Medicare for all should be something. I don't want the government to control it. I like to see a stipend. I believe that central planning can work. We can play nicely in the sandbox if possible. Yeah. You talked about this being the third party. However, right now, Cornell West, Jill Stein from the Green Party are polling higher than any libertarian candidate. Mm-hmm. Do you see this? I know you have a lot of work to do today. There's going to be a lot of people here like Maj is a rock star. There's going to be a lot of people who be threatened the territory, like, oh, he's coming into our territory, taking our thunder.
Well, I did take their territory. It's not theirs. It's mine now. It's mine.
Okay.
That's it. That's it. And I want to be a good steward over the territory. It's no different than land.
It's not over yet. Can you pause it?
Yeah.
Because it's just kind of long. So
yeah, that's good enough.
It was a lot of points, and Okay.
And it's kind of hard to remember the first few things he said after a while.
Exactly. So I wanted to point out, how he was talking about um, Black Lives Matter and how they all lives matter and black guns and all guns. They only do that when you're talking about black people. There's a lot of anti-blackness in this country. There, nobody says when they say stop Asian hate. Nobody says what about all hate. Have you ever heard someone say that?
It's a good point. Yeah, I never noticed that really.
Me too, bad cookies. I was like, stop it now. And then I don't understand. See, I wrote down how would that be different with libertarians, and I don't even remember what the point was. I think he was saying something about taxes or something.
Well,
I
the
can't
one thing
remember.
we might be able to agree a bit is with so I might be able to agree with the libertarians is that we could all do with less taxes. Okay, I think that some communists can be a little bit more pro-tax than makes sense a little bit. Like they want to take over the state and use the state to implement communism, but then they're kind of not really willing to roll back a lot of these taxes. Like there's so many taxes that don't need to be. But then if you're like a genuine, well-educated communist, you'd recognize you can get rid of like the income tax, you can get rid of all kinds of other like property tax, you can get rid of taxes on alcohol and stuff and cigarettes, and these are all justified. Like there's this carbon tax they're trying to argue about in Canada. They're trying to use the argument about the carbon tax to make it so that there is no other discussion about anything else. So, and it's a stupid tax that makes no sense, and we'd be better off without it. But
Okay, you can get rid of some taxes. I agree, but you need some taxes. That it's what are the taxes being spent on?
you
That's
want
the
Medicare for
problem.
all, you need taxes.
Exactly. I want taxes for social systems. And that's oh, Mastermind's back. So let's bring him in. And then he says, okay, if you want a commune, you can have that, yada yada. But okay, that commune still has to pay taxes. So I just got confused. Like I don't understand libertarians. Like
Like
I don't.
he's basically saying that instead of like when we criticize like the American foreign policy, we're always saying if communism's so bad, why don't you just let it fail on its own? So he's kind of using that argument like we libertarians are okay with letting communism fail on its own because we don't think it will work if you try it. And everyone
Oh,
thinks that communism works small scale, but when you scale it up, it doesn't work. No. Communism only works at the largest of scales, the same way that capitalism only works at the largest of scales.
okay, yeah. So we agree on that, libertarians. If communism, let it fail on its own if it's gonna fail. Because but I don't think it
Stop.
will.
Yeah, stop sticking your nose in there and making it fail.
Exactly.
They keep talking. I was listening to Bill Maher with one of their dumb shits. They're talking about in the Middle East that Israel's the only thriving democracy in the Middle East. That's because every time anybody starts a democracy, we go in there and we coup them and we stick in some sort of religious zealot. Of course, Israel's the only democracy because it's the only one that owns the United States.
Well,
Sorry.
That part. Oh, Bryce was at the convention. I'm sorry.
Hey, Bryce.
what's up, Bryce?
I'm sorry. I'm gonna share something and take a little break because I just wanted to
Yeah, I'm sorry I had
I
to bail
wanted
on you guys. I'm a caregiver for a 93-year-old, and when she has to go,
she has
she
to
has to
go.
go.
No
That's
worries.
right.
I apologize.
That's right. And that's nothing to apologize for. So I want to share this because we were talking last week about my little group. I'm just taking a break from what we were talking about because I needed one. This is Elevate My Education, and special thanks, Miss LaBeouf. She donated for us to go on that trip, and I just wanted to show you guys the video of us with the kids. It's just pictures. But wait, is this it? Oh no, that's where we went. I'm sorry. I messed that up. Hold on. Maybe this is it. Nope. Here it is. Okay. There's no, is there sound? I don't know. Yes. Here we go. So I just wanted to show that.
About your video there.
I'm taking it down. Stop.
A little hip hop orchestra.
Well, it said orchestra, and it turned out to be a band with some violinists and violas, and I was like, "That's not an orchestra. Orchestra." I mean, I mean,
You need
that's a
some fresh
band
horns
too.
in there. If it's not an orchestra if you don't have a
But
French horn, right?
it was so much fun, and the kids loved it. And I mean, we got a few donations for their tickets. Tosmit and I had to get our own tickets, but that's fine. We were the chaperones. We just wanted. Oh, she says, "Thank you for your support." So I just wanted to put down here in a banner the Cash App for Elevate My Education, because these are the kind of things that we do. But we also take them to like Boys and Girls Club, all kind of stuff we do with them. Um, and we go into, someone please help me with taking that down from the chat. And we also go into schools and advocate for kids who have IEPs and 504s and stuff like that. So it's a lot, and it's all just a labor of love. So we appreciate your support.
Children are the future.
Children are the future. Let me put that back up for those who didn't see it. Children are the future. So should we go back to this libertarian thing?
Oh, you got.
Unless you're Oprah, and then they're just food.
We got 12 minutes before 7:30 here, so we want to see what we want to cover.
Oh my gosh. Okay, well, I'm just going to go through my notes then.
I think maybe I just had the RFK speak a bit. I don't really.
Let me go through my notes. I don't want to. I don't want to hear any more of these people.
I thought you had something to share too from your end. Or?
I did, but it's so long. Okay, so I agree with. I'm reading notes over here. Like when they were talking about open borders, and one of the candidates was like, "Wait a minute now, define open border," and I was like, "Thank you," because they try to get away with this all the time. Open border could be one thing to someone, and let's all start with the premise of what does open border mean, and now everybody speak on it. One of them said, everybody should be able to move freely. Just wherever you want to, just everything should just be a free for all. I don't agree with that. I mean, you can't do that now. You get off a plane to another country, they don't let you just move freely. You got to go through customs.
Yeah, if I were to answer, I would say open border to me sounds like nobody's checking anybody.
I don't agree with that. Okay, so unless you have something, unless America, we arrogantly say America, but the Americas has something like Europe has, where once you get into a country, you can move freely between the other countries in that like group. So if the Americas did that, maybe.
Yeah, I think Canadian is easier to travel across the border than a foreigner come to Canada moving across to the States. So I think there's some of that already.
So it takes way too much to to get into America for like like say you want to go to school or whatever, somebody has to sponsor you, all this kind of stuff. One of them said, um, all we should be doing is once they get here, just ask them, are you coming as a visitor, a worker, or an immigrant? And then depending on those three, process you the way you need to be processed. And that's it. I was like, that's a good idea. Okay. One of them wanted to privatize border control. Horrible idea. Anytime you privatize, the dude wanted to privatize everything. I don't remember which one it was.
Well, that
He
makes
wanted,
perfect sense. If you privatize the border, then you could take all the immigrants that are coming in and put them in your own personal jail. And with the 13th Amendment, then you could use the migrants that are coming in that you locked up as slave labor. So then you could get all your strawberries picked for free.
yeah, privatize border patrol sounded to me like sweatshops.
Yeah, right.
So I was like, oh my gosh, privatize everything and what I say, abolish our system as we know it and set up a more just government to handle certain public utilities. Oh, that's what I'm saying that we need to do. Abolish our system as we know it and set up a just government to handle certain public utilities.
Well,
Like
yeah, we
for,
need the public resources back in the hands of the public. So before
Mhm.
they start charging us for water and air,
Mhm.
I mean, technically they do charge us for water. I
Well, what do
guess
you
air
think
will
of
be,
this? Air is free for now.
yeah, for
So
now.
what do you think of this? Like in Germany, like college is free, right? And what they do is they have a list of things that they need for their society to work well. Like right now we're short on this. As long as you choose those things, you can go to school for free. Now, if you
Right.
want to do something else, then you have to pay, like then that's your leisure. So you have to pay for it yourself. I I think I'm okay with that. I think it's a fair trade-off. Um, you
Right.
guys
If you
have
need
any?
more STEM people, make all those STEM programs free. Yeah, that's how you're going to get more STEM graduates.
Those just kind of programs need to be kind of monitored to ensure. Oh, hey, our Kit, what's up?
Shout out to
This
Heartless
kid,
Media. I finally got to get show up for a live because it wasn't at 9 a.m. It was awesome, and he had on pants.
I was just saying, you gotta make sure if you're gonna do like certain people can go to college for free because we need more of those people. For a while, that's true, but you have to pay attention to. Okay, now we have enough people. Now maybe we need to let these people go to college for free instead of those people. Right?
Well, it's just the list.
Yeah, it's just
Pick something off the list. Okay.
well,
One
and it's
candidate addressed.
insane
Oh,
that
go
they
ahead.
require some of the jobs that they require that you need a college education to have a degree to do some of these jobs that you don't need. Any of these jobs, you could get 6 months on the job training and have way more suited for a job than you would just because you have a degree.
Right.
It's Kit, good to hear.
Oh, sorry.
No,
I don't know what that was. All right. So one candidate addressed how the real axis of evil is USA, UK, and France. I was like, hey. And they create the conditions for people to want to come here. Somebody said, let all the Cubans in. And I'm like, how arrogant are you to
I think they
assume
want to be
Cubans
here in
want
the
to come
first place.
here? Right.
Right?
Like, who the hell are you?
like
Let the Americans into Cuba.
like most of the
Right.
people who wanted to be here are already here or there, you know?
Yeah, the white Cubans. And I'm like, well, how about we lift our sanctions on Cuba and let them thrive? How about that? Instead of assuming that they want to be here, why do we? That's
Also,
blew my
lifting
mind.
sanctions would let America thrive a bit too, because by Cuba thriving, there would be some reciprocation there. They want to trade with America. Let them make you a little bit more wealthy. Let them get wealthy too. It's not
No,
hard.
we have to use them as a proxy for Russia since 1962. the dumbest thing ever. And it's a teeny tiny little island. I mean, I can't imagine how much heart the people of Cuba must have to be able to just survive while being stomped on by their giant petro state next door.
Yeah, I got to make my way to visit there one day.
Okay,
But
so
I'm sorry, go
oh no, I was just saying I know it's getting close to 7:30, but you know they don't start the game right away anyway. So I just
ahead.
I want to keep going a little bit.
Get
You
through
want to
the
finish your
introductions.
yeah, you want to finish your
All I was
statement,
going to say
Michael?
is I thought it was hilarious that I saw something about Trump was talking about sending private hit squads into Mexico to take out cartels. But I saw that just right after I saw how Mexico is starting to kick illegal Americans out of the country and deport them back to the United States because they're all moving down there because it's too expensive to live here. So,
Well, Bad Cookies said there's a Puerto Rican TikToker who shows how white Americans are moving into Puerto Rico and they're buying up all the beachfront.
Oh yes,
right?
absolutely. They
Yeah,
sure
they want to be
are.
in Puerto Rico now.
They sure are. My friends were telling me about that. It's really black. It's gentrification wherever. It's really bad. So so we were talking about how words matter. I'm just trying to get through these notes. Um, one of them were one of them were talking about terrorists, and I'm like, resistors are not terrorists. They are resisting. So he pissed me off. The dude, like all the way to the right, he said Israel is a sovereign nation, and I was like, huh? The, the British made them sovereign. The Palestinians didn't. So how does that? You can't be a sovereign nation when the people who were there did not get tell you that you can have this land as a sovereign nation, right?
When you stole someone else's self-determinism, it doesn't mean that you are now sovereign.
Right. I mean, kind of like we are here in the United States, uh,
In theory, anyway.
okay. But he did say to abolish NATO, FBI, and DOJ. I was like, yeah, I'm with that. Uh, Not sure. I have to make this bigger. I'm sorry. My eyes. There we go. So, ooh, maybe too big. He did say, um, oh, strength comes from peace. That's what he said. Strength comes from peace. This dude talking about Israel and stuff. And I'm like, what exactly is peaceful about an exploited market? So if strength comes from peace and you're a libertarian and you still want a free market, what's going to be peaceful about that? I, I was thoroughly confused.
Yeah, the market where business is war. That's kind of the way that the market works as far as capitalism is concerned.
I mean,
Right. You can't make a
private,
profit without screwing somebody else over. That's the deal. Nobody's ever going to be happy. Oh, you can't make both sides happy in a deal. If both sides are happy, then something's not quite. Somebody didn't
right,
get hosed enough.
right.
The libertarians have this blind spot to the imperialist problem, and you can't really just have libertarianism. Like, they believe in capitalism, but they don't really acknowledge that the strength of America's capitalism comes from imperialism. So you kind of need that factored in.
Well, it starts with racism.
Yeah.
And then the only way capitalism could survive is, well, which one came first, imperialism or capitalism? That's a good question.
Imperialism or
Right,
racism.
Michael, imperialism.
You do have
Okay, I can see what you're
that.
saying.
It's tricky.
It's tricky.
The
So,
chicken and the egg.
so privatization equals. This is how I see libertarians think, but then it drops off because privatization, that's what they want. Well, that equals the free market to them. Okay, that is still capitalism, right? Capitalism is exploitation. I mean, no, capitalism has profit motives. Profit motives leads to exploitation. So I don't see how these dudes they just don't work for me at all. I only have two more
There's no
notes.
freedom in the libertarianism. That's the problem. It's like doesn't
But
really match up to its promise.
but they package it with a bow as if it's freedom.
Yeah.
But that's not freedom. So freedom is more way farther left. Freedom is Marxism. Okay, two more notes, and so the guy furthest to the left, he said we can't police those. See, I wrote it as if we were going to be watching it, so forgive me for a second. Oh, he was talking about how we can save Detroit and this place and that place, like all these places that are have gone down. And I'm like, we can't police our way because a free market is what actually ruined those neighborhoods. And that's what drove up the crime, right? Nobody just wants to. Well, I guess psychopaths do, but normal people don't just want to be a criminal. They're driven to crime because they need resources. And like the obvious way to police crime-ridden areas is to invest in them, right? Free market will never do that, and
Yeah, they
so
love to talk about broken windows when it comes to policing. Like, oh yeah, if they're, you have to crack down on these people because if you break a window, then odds are that somebody else is going to break another window. But they never think of it as like, hey, if we fix this window, maybe we should take this the other way and actually invest in the infrastructure instead of looking at the broken windows thing as the reason that it's going down. Maybe think of it as a reason that it's not going up.
mm, yeah, they punch down to me a lot. And then my last note is like, say we do privatize everything and let the free market just do its thing. How the hell does that help with the wealth gap that we have today? You got to fix that first. If libertarians want to just let the free market go and let everything run rampant, then you got to fix the wealth gap first, and that starts with reparations, and then also the wealth gap in the classes. So I don't know what they plan to do, but it's not working for me.
I think maybe libertarians need to be asked to challenge specifically on their policy about the minimum wage, because that's kind of will reveal how they plan on bringing prosperity to all. Because if they're not really going to have any difference, if they're going to believe that there should be no such thing as a minimum wage, and we can set the wages as low as we want, and that's how free market will bring prosperity. When you try that, it doesn't, like your theory that it will bring like the poor like out of poverty, it doesn't actually work when you try it in practice. But you can keep convincing people to try it and go through the disaster all over again, and maybe we'll believe it, it'll happen again next time. It's that insane thing, the definition of insanity. How many times are you going to keep repeating this until you expect a different result?
Mm-hmm. I'm going to read the comments for the people who are sitting at their TV and just listening. So Bad Cookie says they don't care about wage gaps. The way they fix the wage gaps is giving the biggest profits so that companies give more pay. That's their logic.
But libertarian logic is that the company has the right to choose to give more pay or not. So,
Yep. Jacqueline. Hi, Jacqueline. They charge us for the air we breathe if they thought they could get away with it.
nice.
Nice. One of them said, I remember he said, okay, the the immigrants that were coming in, let the companies like scoop them up to work for them. Like, we need workers, let the companies. And I'm like, oh, okay, you need slave labor is basically what you're saying. So they want, so that's how their free market is going to work. Let the companies pick off workers at the border, like they do it, like people do at Home Depot. Hey, you, come here. I got $5. I need you to, do $100 worth of work.
Yeah.
Well, and that's whenever they talk about raising the minimum wage, that really scares me because that just means that the people that don't have jobs it's going to be even harder for them to get by. And if you start raising the minimum wage, the people, then the police state's going to feel obligated to start throwing people that are poor into jail. And then once they're in the system, then the 13th Amendment says that, yeah, we can use slaves. They broke a law. They're poor. We're just going to turn them into slaves. So then all the poor people are slaving away for the state again.
Yeah, they're probably going to, they'll bring the vagrancy law back if they could. So we
Oh,
have
they will. No, not if, when. They will. You
when.
watch. Yeah?
When. We have 25 people. Hey, everybody, smash that
Thank
like button.
Thank you.
Subscribe. Tell a friend. We're just trying
Jacqueline
to
watching
grow.
all the way from the UK, so we're international.
Oh, popping my collar. Who is what? Oh, Jacqueline's in the UK. That's awesome. Any last? I think it was. I'm just trying to go through the chat.
Rhonda was just saying that's what carbon credits are, as far as making us pay for
Can
the
you put
air
it?
we breathe.
Can you put it up? There we go.
That's what I feel the carbon tax is for. It's to eventually, for now, it's paying for pollution, but it's sort of softening us up to the idea that we do need to pay for clean air. So,
Yeah, and Bad Cookie says exactly, Michael. That's the way the free market capitalism works. No regulation at all. So we're not going to be able to breathe the air, because if you let companies just do whatever they want, they are going to do whatever they want. And I mean, even in our system right now, right? These companies have contingency money set aside. So if they get caught, the fine that they have to pay, oh, that's nothing. We already set money aside for that. That's a drop in
That's
the
the cost
bucket.
of doing business.
That's the cost of
Absolutely.
doing business. So imagine if they didn't even have to have that contingency money set aside. They could just do what the hell they wanted to do.
well, I get why people, though, when you see how the FDA and the CDC operates, it's a little bit like it feels like we don't really have regulations anyway. The regulatory body's been captured. So, but that doesn't mean that the solution is to throw the baby out with the bathwater and get rid of regulations altogether.
Well, that's kind of like when Nancy Pelosi gets caught not registering her stock trade deals, and they charge her $5,000, $2,500. Yeah, that's not even a slap on the wrist when they're making $1 million deals. That 2,500. That's less than she pays her accountant that's doing the crooked deals for her.
Correct. I don't know what I said, Bad Cookies. I don't know what this, because the comments were going crazy. But yeah, I don't know what I said. Reaganomics. Yeah. Is that what libertarian? Yeah.
Well, and that
It'll
Reaganomics, that's a
down.
trickle down. Yeah, they were supposed to, they said that if we gave tax breaks, I just watched something on this, if we give tax breaks to the 1%ers, that eventually that will, when they were selling it, set between $4,000 and $9,000 will be realized by the people that are actually at the bottom. And that was, 20 years ago, they went back and did the numbers, and it wasn't 4,000, it wasn't 9,000, it was zero. Because every penny that they saved on taxes went to stock buybacks, CEO compensation. It didn't even go into reducing the cost of their products. They kept raising the cost of their shit, and nobody saw anything except the 1%ers.
Like
That's
I said,
your trickle down.
I just think these dudes are just rich white dudes that didn't get invited to the party and they want in. That's my take.
Libertarians? Yeah.
Mhm.
I think it sums it up.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. I mean, I try and give them the benefit of the doubt because they're not Republican or Democrat, but man, that can only go so far. That only buys so much grace.
Well, on stuff like abortion, on their takes on abortion, some of them, they also, like, they don't sound any different from Republicans and stuff. They feel like if you can't afford to pay your way, then the baby should have to starve. I've seen them post stuff like that on Twitter. Like,
So if you guys couldn't tell throughout the whole show, this is supposed to be that libertarian porcupine, but I got low res here, so you have to use your imagination.
So I just want to speak this into fruition. I don't know if it's going to happen, but I'm trying to get Jasmine on the show, Jasmine Charmaine. I don't know which show. It depends on her availability, but
that sounds interesting.
everybody throw that into the air.
Wish
Yes, it did.
cast.
Huh? Yeah.
Wish
Reagan
cast it.
destroyed the middle class. Yes, it did. It started there. Like we went downhill from there, boy.
Yeah, Morning in America was spelled MOU. Or
Right. Oh my gosh. Any other? What time is it? Let me see.
Probably getting time to wrap up. I'm kind of getting a bit hungry myself. I don't know about you guys.
Monarch, nobody can see your comments.
I gotta go eat that coconut shrimp that I cooked yesterday. Gonna go bake some asparagus with it.
Yeah.
It's gonna be so delicious. I could taste it in my mouth right now. It's not 6:45 Central, is it?
6:43.
That's your
Yeah,
time. So it's 7:43. Okay. Bad Cookies just got the time zone messed up.
Yeah,
Okay,
I got 5:43 Mountain, 6:43 Central.
Oh, really?
Huh?
Oh, so we can keep going.
Oh, you're
Right?
missing your game, but other than that.
No, 7:30.
Oh, shit. Well, what are you?
Oh, so I just ran through this stuff and we had time? Oh my gosh, that's funny. Let me see what else I have on here then.
I don't have. One other thing I had to share is just a little bit of comedic relief. Apparently, did you guys hear Biden tried to sit in a non-existent chair in France?
Ooh.
Oh,
Oh,
that's
did he hit the
funny.
dirt?
Put that up.
It's just like a little 13-second clip, but it's worth.
Yeah, put
always
that
worth
up. And it
kicking or punching up at Joe Biden.
we need a laugh because I'm about to pose a interesting question that I wanted you guys to speak on.
So it says, for a moment, Joe Biden seemed to be at a loss for words. The 80th anniversary of the Normandy invasion held in France. The U.S. president was received at the podium by Emmanuel Macron and his wife. So let's see. Hopefully it's not too glitchy.
Distinguished guests.
It's okay.
Welcome. The Honorable
Looking for his air chair.
Oh,
And you
This is-
see
this
Jill's
is elderly abuse.
scratching
Really,
her lip, clearly saying something under her breath there.
This is really elderly abuse.
Don't need
This
to
is kind of likened to when Reagan was like getting dementia, and so basically his wife is his handler,
when it's
posing
not-
as his wife.
Yeah.
Like, how is that love? That's not right.
Well, love of power, love of position.
Mm-hmm. But not love of him, obviously.
No.
And the articles were doing fact checks. No, Joe Biden did not poop his pants.
But Sean did.
It did look like he was straining there a little though, didn't it? I guess.
Oh yes, it's so much abuse. Okay, that was hilarious. Obama is Biden's handler. This is why Obama is going to. Oh,
I feel like Obama. If Biden had a brain, it's Obama's.
Well, that's what I'm not so sure Obama ever left. I think he was been there since day one for Joe. I think that we're just in Obama's third term. I know people have said that, but I really don't think it's. I hope. Well, no, I shouldn't say hope. It's either Barack or it's Blinken. You know,
I mean, it's probably
I don't know which is worse.
But it's probably mostly Obama and a few others.
I'm sure
So-
Hillary's got her claws in there still too.
of course she does. Of course she does.
So gross. It's just so fucking gross.
So here's the question I pose. Okay. Say today. I'm talking today. The red versus blue over with. No electoral, like we blew everything up and said, we're starting over. Like somehow the country just went ham. And so there's no electoral college, no red, no blue. We're setting everything up from scratch. And the populist vote wins. What is the likelihood that Americans today, with their mindset, would vote in a Marxist candidate? From 1 to 5.
0.
Compared to 5 years ago, it's a lot better.
Yeah,
It's a lot better than if you asked me that question in 2018.
Y'all put it in the chat from 1 to 5. What are the chances if it was just a 0?
You've been hearing there's been like reports that like 50% of young people support socialism. So there is that. But we still have this whole aging generation that's very anti-communist.
Right.
So I would say,
it's everybody that ever grew up watching Rocky movies or any of those Russia bad movies. They're just they've been brainwashed their whole lives. You can't just undo 70 years of propaganda and a couple. But yeah, if you ask me that question, I would be a lot more positive to that than I would have before COVID, before people started waking up to all the shit that's going on.
so before COVID it was 0. Robbie Burns says it's 0.2.
Right. Yeah.
We got a long way to go, boy. So I guess the next question would be, how long would it take?
Gotta watch those movies. I don't know what Creed is.
You don't know what Creed is?
No. Is that a movie?
That was Apollo Creed's nephew. It was what's the kid's name that played
Michael.
So yeah. Is it Michael Jordan? Michael B. Jordan.
For Apollo Creed.
Yeah. It's just another spin, another sequel.
So Rocky becomes his trainer. So Michael B. Jordan, his name is Creed. His father was the black man. I mean, yeah, his father was the black man who died in the ring, right? From Rocky or something like that.
I'm Apollo Creed. You're going down.
Yeah.
Yeah, Apollo. That was. Oh shit. Billy D. Williams. Sorry.
Oh.
I did.
It sure was Billy D. Williams.
Takes me a minute sometimes. That was 30 years ago, 40 years ago.
I could never remember actresses' names for the life of me.
Carl Weathers. Thank you, Robbie. Why would I say Billy D? Yeah, it was Carl. See, I was thinking because it's Predator. I don't know.
Oh, Carl Weathers.
Robbie got me.
Oh.
Yeah. Lando. Yeah, see, Lando. It was Lando during Star Wars and Billy D. And
look alike.
Carl Weathers and Rocky.
I did go back and watch Rocky, and because I couldn't remember, and I didn't realize he was not that smart. I was like, what is happening? It's like he wasn't, all he could really do is fight, but he loved that woman though.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
You gotta go
Well,
watch the movies, but they're kind of shit, so you don't need.
well, and see, that's the thing is he wrote them, so you can always write somebody dumber than you, but it's hard to write somebody smarter than you. So there was a level of how, right from the beginning, there was a level how smart Rocky was going to be, and he could only go down from there.
Wow, that's funny. I don't. What's
I don't know
what's-
Sylvester Stallone
what's-
personally. He might be smart. I could be completely confused, and you know, I guess that would be kind of prejudiced of me to judge how smart he is by the way he talk. You know,
Yeah, we don't know these people.
no, not at all.
Anyway, okay. I guess now I'm gonna do shout outs. Thank you guys for your support. Always, we love our newfound family. Um, support independent media. Just throw the names out of there. Hard Lens Media, INN Indie News Network. You guys could throw some out. Don't leave me hanging.
I watch the Canadian Commie. It's a channel. It's just called, his channel's called The Canadian Commie, and every episode the title's called "Capitalism is a Death Cult," with whatever day of the week it is. His name is John Sanderson, and he's always saying, "Tell people I exist. Most importantly, let people know that I exist." So I am letting you know, John Sanderson does exist, and he's got good Marxist analysis. So you need to, if you're wanting to learn a little bit more about Marxism from an expert, I consider him to be an expert that I can learn from and mentor from. So Tuesdays, Wednesday, Thursday, 6 to 9 p.m. The Canadian Commie.
Hey, don't say Thursday. That's what we're on. I mean, we want a shout out, but not slow your roll.
Don't get crazy. Don't get crazy. I started.
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. I was going to say I just started. Dr. Nick turned me onto this Red Bar, and he's this guy who just talks mad shit about other comedians and does breakdowns. So I've been getting into him. It's pretty funny, kind of a fellow spirit.
Nice.
Midwestern Marks. I like TD Media Group, but he's sort of, it's this black guy, but he's kind of liberal like, but I still like to listen to those type of channels just to keep myself sharp. So TD Media Group. I don't know if I don't want to be in an echo chamber.
Right.
So then maybe I should say Jimmy Dore, since I don't want to be in an echo chamber.
Well, I don't know if you guys heard of the Political Matrix. It's, two black guys do a podcast called the Political Matrix. They're not Marxist or anything. The one guy says some anti-communist things sometimes. I kind of argue with them a little bit in the chat sometimes, but they're good for like not being in an echo chamber. They might be a little bit more, I don't know, libertarian is the word that describes them, but go ahead and check out their podcast, see what you think. They're political commentators like us.
The Jokester. Don't forget about TYT.
Right. Yeah.
Jacqueline,
Speaking of anime.
Isn't Tara Reid on Indie Network News?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So if you go to Indie Network News, like I just shot them out because I mainly watch. How do I do that? I mainly watch Colin and Reed. I like them. Oh, Golden, don't do me like that. Every do want to be every door. Ouch.
Sometimes the jokes write themselves a little bit.
Anybody else that we Craig the Pasta do dissidents?
Oh yeah,
Um,
love me some due dissidents.
Bryce says you could watch some breaking farts if you want a good laugh.
oh
Yeah,
yeah,
right.
Crystal has said, oh yeah, The Hill.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I'm not gonna be watching them, I guess, anymore. It's not like I'm gonna be tuning in for Robbie if Bree ain't there. It's really, I'm not gonna go
I
in
did.
there.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, it's just that Brian Grimm. If Brian Grimm takes over for her, that's not gonna be quite enough to pique my interest.
You've
I just
heard
wanted to look again because when I was looking before, I do not see where she got fired. I see they did a change.org and to a petition to fire her for anti-Semitic behavior, but
Oh, I'd like to see.
I don't see anything that actually says she got fired.
That sounds like a Zio rumor to me too. It
Oh.
sounds exactly like the kind of shit they'd say. They're just throwing out shit, seeing if it'll stick to the wall and they can get any traction on it because of that stupid debate they had. She took on 3 Zios at the same time and still came out ahead. So they're pissed now. That's my
I
take.
see on Jacobin it says Breonna Joy Gray is not backing down. I see that.
We'll see what happens the next few days, then, I guess.
I
Right.
guess.
See a couple more recommendations for shout-outs. Danny Haifong.
Oh, I love him. He's my Facebook friend.
And Professor Wolf.
Oh, Gray Zone.
Gotta watch Professor Wolf if you haven't seen him.
Richard Wolff, correct. Yes. The Economist. Yes. Funny story, his maybe I shouldn't say that. His daughter lives in the same complex as I lived in New York City. We used to hang out together.
Wow.
Interesting.
Until COVID,
Hmm.
and everything just went downhill from there, which I thought was interesting because I'm like, I watch your father.
Yeah, the older generations, they're a little more vulnerable, so I think COVID's a little bit more of a big, scary thing that they don't want to be looking into rabbit holes. They just want to get their vaccine and come with it.
No, she's my age.
I'm saying like Richard Wolff and
Oh,
his-
Richard Wolff wasn't a.
But-
Correct me if I'm wrong. He wasn't a. You better go get your vac. Like he was completely opposite of that.
I thought he was maybe it's up to you and I'm gonna go get mine, but you
Right.
can do what you want.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, his offspring was like, you can't be around me if you don't go get it, and like I was like, okay.
See ya.
Yeah, it was strange. So, do we? Yes, Aaron Mate. I tend to watch him on other people's shows because I like people write way more hype. But I do love reading his stuff.
Oh, I see Garland Nixon and Lee Camp. Those are good too.
We forgot about Lee Camp.
Yeah, I used to watch him. I don't know. He must be up against something else. I've kind of fallen off on watching him, but yeah, he's usually funny. At least sometimes.
Garland Nixon. And I think that's. Did we catch everything, Michael? I'm looking to see.
Basically, I feel like we shouted out like almost every channel that I watch. You know.
Somebody said Ryan Grimm.
Have you ever heard of Cyrus Jansen? He's a good source on China. I think he's a white guy who lives in China now.
What's his name?
Cyrus Jansen. Cyrus Janssen. And Alex from
Bryce.
Those guys kind of work together.
Bryce says, I love Ryan Grimm outdumbing himself. There used to be this guy on YouTube. He was an American that was living in Ukraine. And so he was like giving news from Ukraine, and it was really good. And YouTube took his channel down. I can't remember his name.
Mm-hmm.
But he was, telling stuff from.
Like the war reporter in Ukraine or on the Russian in the Donbass.
He made himself a reporter because he knows American politics, and he was actually been living in Ukraine for a few years.
Is that,
So he
you're
just
talking about Gonzalo Lira or?
no Gonzalo. That doesn't sound familiar. Is his thing still up?
Well, Gonzalo Lira actually he's died now. He was
Oh, okay.
he was like a dissident voice in Ukraine, reporting on the war from Ukraine as an American who emigrated to Ukraine. He was eventually, it was dangerous for him to make his videos, and then he got picked up by the Ukrainian SBU Secret Service and tortured. And when he tried to leave the country, he ended up dying, or getting killed or whatever. So
My
it
goodness.
disappeared. So,
Jeez.
but then there's also Patrick Lancaster, is a war reporter, reporting from behind Russian lines in the Donbass. So that's where I wasn't sure if you were talking about those guys.
That name doesn't sound familiar. I don't remember his name. I'm sorry.
Either way, those guys.
But if their YouTube is still up, it's not them.
Watch those guys too. So.
Yep. Ron Placone, thank you, Golden Monarch. I love his new version of I'm a Liberal.
Oh yeah, Scott Ritter, he's been making some good trouble. He got grounded. He can't go to Russia now.
Yeah.
He got his passport taken, revoked. That's messed up. Yeah, so Scott Ritter. Case Study QB, thank you. Shout out to Case Study QB. Shout out to
Case Study is my spirit masochist.
I still watch RBN anyways. They got.
I still watch RBN. Shout out to RBN. I definitely still watch them. Oh. Hi, Natalie. Patrick Lancaster can be frightening sometimes.
Yeah, it's a trigger warning, right? Disclaimer. It's graphic imagery.
Oh, okay. Yes. Disclaimer. Also, oh, I'm sorry. I was about to say Eric. What's Eric's handle? Mastermind.
Eric T. Red.
Eric T. Reed. Oh, I thought it was Eric T. Red.
Red.
Shout out to Eric T. Red. All right. Well, Sappy's live, so that's our cue because we already know.
We're kind of just rambling a bit at this point.
And we're all just rambling. So I'm about to go watch the game. And
have a good meeting.
I'll be like having Savvy on my phone while the TV's going. What? Oh wait, hold on.
Yeah, I gotta get out. I gotta do. It's time to do duo-neb and medications and stuff. So I got to go back to work.
One more person,
Dimitri Lascaris. He's a former Green Party member from Canada. He's got a very good stance on Palestine. He's been doing some great things. A Canadian I can be proud of.
See you, Robbie.
I'm not going for anybody. I'm just going. All right. Bye, Mastermind. Okay. So we're just gonna play some of the StreamYard music because I'm not queued up for anything.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, thank you. So you guys have a wonderful rest of your night. Don't forget to hit the like button before you go, please, and thank you. And tell a friend.
Yeah, see you next week.
See you next week.
Good night.